Welcome to the Networking with Michelle podcast, the show dedicated to providing you with life strategies with a little bit of entrepreneur advice. Here we believe in the Jim Rohn quote, success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day. Hey everyone, welcome to the Networking with Michelle show. I am your host, Michelle Gomez, and right now it is Tuesday night, 9:49 p.m. Central Standard Time, and I decided to jump on the microphone because I needed to get some things off my chest. Yes. I was hoping to do a video maybe 2 weeks ago, and I'm going to be honest with y'all, I've been extended, like overly extended. And then when I do have the downtime, I am not thinking about podcasting. I'm just not even sleep, right? Because I've been so busy that if I was to sleep, I'm afraid I'm going to oversleep. And then, you don't get any sleep when you're thinking like that. So lots of times it's just me literally resting. It's me laying down in my bed or on the floor, being able to stretch out my body and just completely relax before I get up and go back to the J or to whatever the grind is. And I'm grateful for this month of January. I'm very, very busy with speaking engagements and just my regular workflow. And unfortunately, on, I think it was Monday, January 8th, I found out my uncle passed away. And my uncle lived in South Africa. My people are from Cameroon. My uncle lived in South Africa, so they shipped the body from South Africa to Cameroon. We had to get my mom ready to fly to Cameroon for the funeral, and that was craziness in itself. So I'm the oldest. It's me and my brother from my mom, and then I have a younger sister on my dad's side, and she's in Atlanta. And I know I'm the oldest, and I know my mom depends on me, but for some reason it didn't dawn on me on how much my mom depended on me until we were getting her ready for this trip. And she bought the ticket, and all I'm thinking, I'm gonna take her to the airport, boom, woo 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 woo. And things didn't go right. She missed her flight. Was scheduled on a Monday. She missed her flight because we were still waiting for our passport to come in the mail, because you just can't buy the ticket and go to Cameroon. You got to submit paperwork, get visas and all this kind of stuff. So the passport didn't come in time, so she had to rebook her flight. So she had to drop another $500 or something to change her flight. Passport came on Tuesday. She flew out on Wednesday. It was like bananas the way everything went down. But the whole time, like Monday through Wednesday, my mom's like, okay, what's the plan? What's the plan? I'm like, woman, I'm not traveling with you. She's like, what are we going to do? What's the plan? And I remember at one time I was like, Mom, you're not worried? And she was just eating her food, watching her soaps. What do you want me to do? I can't rush the mailman to get here. And I was like, oh, okay. So this is where I get the cool, calm, collected demeanor from. But then at the same time, she's like, Michelle, what's the plan? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm not flying with you. But so we just made the best out of a very stressful situation. Definitely giving all glory and honor to praise to God for just the provision, the provision in itself. On a financial standpoint, just having the community come through, and safe travels. And I'm still praying for my mom, even now that she's still there. It was good to hear her voice the other day. I think that's definitely given me a lot of peace and calm, I guess within the past week or so. And it's just been interesting. I don't live with my mom, but even though she's been gone for a week, it's shed a lot of perspective on our relationship, my roles, not just as a daughter, but I guess, that leadership role coming as an older daughter, and how it's just influenced me up to this point in life, in the community, and the different things that I do. And it's very interesting. I don't know. I'm rambling. This is my rant. This is my late night rant. So I just feel like I haven't been on the microphone for a minute. So maybe I just want to get some things off my chest. Um, so yeah, so that happened. That happened. So my mom is in Cameroon. So if you're a praying man, a praying woman, please keep my mom in your prayers, and I'll be glad to update y'all when she comes back, which should be Monday, February 12th. And it was just crazy, 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 crazy. This last week was crazy. This month has been crazy. So trying to get my mom, to Cameroon and everything. And this month I had a total, I think, of 6 speaking engagements. Pretty much every week I had a speaking event. And then actually today as we speak, the 30th and the 31st, I was supposed to speak for this company, a third party company that decided to contract me out. And this was actually going to be a paid gig. And they canceled on me. They canceled the gig for whatever reason. Okay, so this is what I really want to talk to y'all about tonight. I was going to do a video about it, but I was just not in a position to do it because I was literally going from one event to another event, and then I didn't want to lose my mojo. I'm very big on energy and vibrations, and then I didn't want to come off as angry or just having that negative energy, trying to do this video for whatever reason. And this is my podcast, and I try to serve y'all first with anything that I do. And I really want to dive into this. I didn't want to do several 60-second videos and all this kind of stuff, but I really just wanted to shoot the breeze with y'all. And then another ironic thing this month is that I had a lot of people reach out to me about, Michelle, how do I start speaking? What do I do? What do I need to do? And where do I begin? And all this kind of stuff. So, and I don't think I have it figured out yet. I'm literally, if you listen to the podcast, you're literally on my journey with me, right? If you follow me on YouTube, you're literally on my journey with me. If you catch the post, I really feel like I pour my heart and soul out on social media. It's just a matter if you're able to read in between the lines based off of what I post. But you're literally on the journey with me. And this is, I think, the first time I've really spoken about speaking, and I'm just going to come with it, right? And if y'all have questions, shoot me an email, hit me up in the DMs or whatever, and I'll be glad to answer it. Instagram, Facebook, whatever it is. I had a colleague reach out to me, text me. We jumped on the phone for an hour and we talked about it. It's real out here, and I'm not trying to hold anything back. So for all of y'all, so this is the thing. Everyone wants to speak. Everyone wants to speak. Everyone sees there's a lot of money in speaking. It's a lucrative business. I could get up there and I can talk for 15 minutes. I can talk for 45 minutes and 60 minutes and take home $500 or $5,000, depending on the level and the audience of where you're at. Yeah, hey, I want to speak too. Pay me to run my mouth and to ramble about all good things, because everyone has something to say. And I believe in that. I truly believe that everyone has a book in them. Everyone has a message in them. It needs to be said and it needs to be heard. And everyone talks about speaking. Everyone talks about presentations and all this kind of stuff. But no one talks about when the event is canceled. No one talks about when things are slow. No one talks about the in-between, right? And what I've realized since I've been studying this business is that you have speakers that train other speakers on giving presentations. A good example would be Jonathan Sprinkles. He has Presentation Power, actually coming up February 23rd to the 25th. I should be there. If I am, that would be my third time attending that event. You have Paul Brunson. He doesn't train speakers, but he definitely gives some good tips. He actually did a video today. That's why he's on my mind, on how to do good presentations, things of that nature. And then you also have speakers that train you on the business side of speaking. So I listen to Grant Baldwin, the Speaker Lab podcast, where he has resources, It's called thespeakerlab.com, where he has resources on how to create the process of how to contact event coordinators and things like that. So there's two things, okay? So you have speakers that train other speakers on their presentation, messaging, and then you have speakers that train speakers on the business side, you have speakers that train speakers on the business of speaking, okay? And I'm going to dive into that later. But with all of that, I've listened to not just the two of them, but other podcasts, other speakers. And I've never heard anyone talk about, what do you do when it's slow? Is there a slow period? What do you do when an event is canceled on you? Do you work with a third party company or not? And sometimes we think about the third party company as a speaker bureau. And you got to be at a certain level in your career to even have the speakers bureau rock with you. So I'm going to share my 2 cents with you. And there's a couple of things that could be, I've definitely learned my lesson, but there can be a couple of things I can do differently with that. So I'm going to dive in. So a couple of months ago, I want to say August, this company reached out to me on LinkedIn. I'm telling y'all about LinkedIn. I'm still getting business from LinkedIn, y'all. So this company reached out to me on LinkedIn, and they're like, hey, we like your profile, woo woo woo, all that good stuff. And we're looking for social media marketing trainer, in your area. I think you would be a good fit. So I was like, cool, this is right up my alley. This would be a great compliment because I already teach for 4 weeks and then I'm off for 4 weeks. And if I can throw in one of these gigs in between the teaching gigs, hey, it's all good. I'll make it work. So I went through that process. The company's based in London. I went through that process where we were doing online interviews, online emails and questionnaires and all this kind of stuff to make sure I'm a right fit. And this was a contract position. So I filled out all the paperwork, went through the training, There was a little hiccup in the process because as soon as I finished that interview process, and I can't remember if I emailed them the paperwork or not, but anyways, Harvey hit. So I was just kind of, even though I wasn't affected by Harvey, a lot of, the city of Houston shut down, and I teach, so there's a lot of things that I do at work, and I just didn't have access to certain resources in order for me to get my paperwork and stuff. So that kind of prolonged some things, but it was a good thing, no big deal. So October came, they reached out to me. I think they reached out to me in September for an October event, and I was free. And actually, I wasn't free. Technically, I wasn't free. I was supposed to work. I think I was going to just start teaching like that first week, because when I teach, for 4 weeks, I hate missing out on that first week. But these people are paying. I was going to be there. So I made arrangements where I was going to take off of work, my teaching gig, to do these social media classes. And the truth of the matter was, I had already got into it with my supervisor about me missing work prior. And so, I wasn't on her good side at the time, to be honest. And I'm going to be honest with you. I have made speaking a priority. I think it was last year, either 2016 or 17. And I'm just like, nothing's going to come before speaking. Like, if I get a gig, that's priority. Free, paid, or whatever. Speaking's priority because I need to hone my craft. And so I already got into it with my supervisor about that because I had a speaking gig and some stuff came up. So I was asking for these 2 days off. And, they're giving me that lip service. And I was like, okay, whatever. So I got those days off. I made the arrangements. I'm supposed to be doing the social media intensive course, all this kind of stuff. And they cancel on me. They're like, we don't have enough registrants, attendees for the event. So I was like, okay, cool. I was already kind of paranoid about it, but I'll get into that later. So I was already paranoid. They canceled. So I was like, okay, cool. So I'll just teach. No big deal. Whatever. And I have a tendency to internalize things. So I was kind of like, dang, maybe I wasn't engaging with them via email or in the Facebook group. Maybe they thought I wasn't interested. And that's what I was kind of paranoid about. But they reached out to me again in December and they're like, okay, we have another training on January 30th and 31st. Are you available? Cool. Yes, I'm available. I'm not teaching. I don't have nothing to do. So I accept. So the communication was there. At the time, one time they emailed me. They're like, okay, we have 3 attendees. I think they were expecting anywhere from 10 to 20. They had 3, so I was like, okay, so the communication's picking up. I'm ready to, well, I wasn't ready, but I was gonna get ready. And then all of a sudden they canceled on me. So it was like, and then when they canceled on me, this was the week my uncle passed away. So I found out on a Monday, and then later on that week they canceled the gig on me. And I was like, oh man, I was like, okay. Like, it's one of those things where it's already an emotional, delicate situation, and then this happens, and then I had other speaking gigs lined up, and I just take one speaking gig at a time. I prepare one event at a time, and it was the week or right before I was doing a presentation at Texas A&M University for their Southwestern Black Leadership Conference. I may need to talk about that later as well. So let me table that. So, it's like, okay, it's already a crazy emotional week. I got other gigs lined up that I need to prepare for. Texas A&M on Friday the 16th. And then I had a LinkedIn training on the 22nd, 21st or something, like on a Tuesday. So my preparation windows are very short or whatever. And so that's why I wanted to do the video, but I felt I was just too emotional and I didn't know where my emotions were going to be at the time, whether just sad, disappointed, angry, So I was like, okay, scratch that, no video. But I'm saying it now because I just want to get a few things off the chest. And a lot of people, they're giving me advice and they're either not speakers or they're literally brand new speakers. And look, we already got to start somewhere. And I'm still trying to figure out and I'm not better than anyone. Okay. The thing is, I signed with a third party company, a contractor. I was an independent contractor to them. So I was going to speak and they were going to pay me X amount of dollars. Once I submitted an invoice, they were going to pay me 30 days out. Okay. And everyone was like, well, you should have got a deposit. Well, once again, I could not get a deposit because I was an independent contractor of the company. And with everyone asking me for advice on how to start speaking and giving me advice on what I need to do about my speaking, I just thought, let me make a podcast episode about this. And here we go. This is what I have learned over the past 3 years, 4 years, or 5 years, or however many years I've been speaking. I'm gonna be honest. So I still do free events, and I have paid events. So I'm in a mix of paid and free events. I'm doing a better job asking for money as far as what is your budget. If they don't have a budget, do you offer an honorarium? Okay. And I feel comfortable because, one, it's 2018. I think I'm in my stride, to be honest with you. And there's just things that I know, right? I'm a strong believer. You don't know what you don't know. Therefore, it's hard to ask those kind of questions. But after so many years, I'm becoming more confident with this. And a lot of times we're asking for money, but we don't know what we're asking for, right? We're thinking about the dollar amount, but not the responsibility that comes along with that. And I've had this belief when it comes to even corporate America. And you want to it's like, do you want to be a manager because of the salary, or do you want to be a manager because of the responsibility, And I think those are things that you have to keep in mind anytime that you're demanding money, because that money's attached to value, is attached to your worth, or what you're going to do what you're going to provide for the company, or in this case, the organization and the attendees. And it's very, very interesting. Okay. So number one, all right, number one, if you want to start speaking, the first thing I would recommend you do is to sit down and ask yourself, what do you want to talk about? And from that, you need to develop anywhere from 1 to 3 different talking topics. Okay. So hopefully by now, you've been listening to my podcast and you've downloaded my guide, 7 Steps to Creating an 7 Steps to Creating an Influential Personal Brand. The number one thing I say is establish your core message. What is your core message? If you have a core message, you should be able to develop your talks from that. Okay. So for example, everyone knows me for networking and marketing strategies, right? Networking, connection, personal branding. So the name of my talks, I have 3 different talks that I'm promoting technically 4. I have no particular order, but Connect with Confidence. I have 7 Steps to Creating an Influential Personal Brand. I have Creating a Network through podcasting, and then I have Success Undefined. And that's why I say technically 4, because that's the name of my last book. Everyone knows me from Network, Navigate, and Nurture. Networking has a negative connotation, so that's why I have the Connect, right? Connect with confidence, network with confidence, same difference, but making it appealing to your audience. And the 7 Steps to Creating an Influential Personal Brand. So these topics these are under my core message, and they demonstrate my expertise, right? Connection, networking, personal branding. This is what I do day in and day out. So if you want to speak, you need to sit down and feel like and consider, what am I known for? What do I want to talk about? And how creative can I be when it comes to crafting these topics? Okay. And maybe it's not 3, maybe it's just 1, right? Maybe it's just 1 topic, 1 title, and you just master that to death, which nothing's wrong with that. Nothing is wrong with that. So once you create your talking points, your titles, come up with the talking points, the bullet points, and we as people, we're good at learning, 3 things. What are the 3 things you want people to learn in this talk, right? Those 3 to 5 things. Or what is the acronym that you're able to come up with that is easy to remember when people when you walk away from people, when you get off the stage? So develop your talking points, or develop your titles with those 3 talking points or bullet points for each title. Okay. And this is great because this is going to go on your website, your speaker sheet. You can promote this on social media, etc., etc. Okay. So number 2, you have your talking points. You want to start speaking for free. Yes, I know we all have bills. I have buku bills. It's crazy, okay? But yes, you want to start speaking for free. And the reason why I say for free is because, especially, this is really important if you have no speaking experience. And what I mean by no speaking experience, when I started speaking, I didn't even think of this as a career. My brother he was doing a lot of speaking because he used to work for Google. So he was always doing presentations. And then I was supporting him. We did a couple of events together, but it was like, oh, I'm just having fun, whatever. And then when I got into some leadership roles, people were like, hey, Michelle, can you come here? Can you speak here? Can you represent the organization in this manner? So I was starting to speak more and more, not, once again, just representing the organization or just really filling in a gap for a friend. Just like, oh, okay, I'll do it. I'm free. Whatever. And then it's like, wait a minute, I got something here. Okay. So, but the thing is, when you speak for free, you're able to get those kinks out. You're able to get your practice in. Now, if you have a job where you are constantly front and center of an audience, leading team meetings, delivering presentations, you may not need to speak for free, right? Because you're already in it. You're already in the thick of it. You've already mastered the presentation process. You may come out the gate charging. It's up to you and your comfort level. But I will say this though, when you're speaking for free, you're able to get those kinks out. Because I remember, I think it was 2016, I was speaking at the People Fund, and I still write my presentations by hand. Because when I write them by hand, I don't have the best English, the best grammar, so that helps me. And then it allows me to help with my memory. I don't memorize my speeches per se, but I memorize the framework of my presentation. So I've had a presentation, I think it's the first time I did Connect with Confidence at People Fund. And I thought I had a joke. I'm corny. I know I'm corny. I thought it was going to be funny. Flatline, okay? Did the presentation, the joke flatline. It wasn't horrible because I was still laughing. But needless to say, it didn't work, you know? So I think just like a comedian, I've heard comedians how they go in the hole in the walls to practice their jokes before they get to, Madison Square Garden or before they do the live recording of their show. So you got to get those practice runs in. You have to get those practice runs in. Kobe still practiced. Kobe was still in the gym shooting. Look, I listen to Rick Ross. So you just got to get those practice runs in, okay? I don't care if you're 23, 33, 43, 53, new or old, you got to get those practice runs in because there's always going to be a new audience, new demographics. It's just something, right? And I don't know if those practice runs are going to start with, high schools and colleges or even smaller professional organizations, but you want to get those practice runs in because once you practice, you're like, okay, well, maybe this shouldn't be bullet point 3, but maybe this needs to be bullet point 1. I need to rearrange my presentation this way. All of those things matter. When you're presenting, I'm a person, I talk with my hands, right? And there's little things that I've learned from Jonathan Sprinkles attending Presentation Power of how I need to work the stage, all right? Whatever my area is on the floor, how do I need to work the room? And even when I'm at home, I practice that. I practice my pacing, I practice my hand movement, because if I take this step to the right and I lean in and I have my palms up, it's going to put more emphasis to the statement that I'm making. All of those things matter, and you're able to practice that for free in front of an audience to see what the reaction is. Okay. Also, another reason why you want to speak for free when it comes to practicing is, which actually, yeah, this is great because it goes into number 3. You want to practice your process, right? So what is the process? So when an organizer calls you like, hey, Michelle, we got such and such event on Saturday, February 17th. Are you available? This is when you need to get your questions in. Okay. Well, tell me about the event. What is the demographic? What is the budget? How much do you have allocated for speakers? The investment for me is $1,500, right? So this is when you want to get all of those things in, like you're practicing that, you're practicing the conversation. Now, don't be so worried about the presentation. You're practicing the conversation you're having with these organizers and these event planners, right? And you're trying to establish your process that you can write down and work over and over again when you do get those calls from other organizers when they want you. Okay, so keep that in mind as well. So which leads me to number 3. You want to set benchmarks before you charge. Okay, so set benchmarks before you charge. What do I mean by that? Okay, so if you do start speaking for free, keep in mind it's like, okay, how many free gigs do I want to do before I start charging? Maybe it's 5, maybe it's 10. Okay, so I've done 10 events within the past 3 months. I'm feeling pretty good about myself. All right, let me see if I can get a $500 gig. All right, so also with that benchmark, you also got to set some boundaries, right? Okay, so you get the phone call from the organizer. They say their piece. And you're like, okay, well, I'll be glad to do it. The investment for me to come out and speak to your attendees is $500. Okay. So what are you going to do? You might need to take a negotiation class, right? Um, if they say, oh, we don't have that, we have a budget for 300. Are you going to do that? I don't know. What's your boundary? You got to establish that. Okay. So establish your boundaries, your benchmarking, your boundaries. That way you know what you're doing, what you're saying, how you're presenting yourself to to these organizers, right? So, for example, I had that happen to me. So, like, hey, Michelle, we want you to come out and speak. The investment for me is $1,500, whatever. All right. Oh, well, we don't have that in our budget. What we have is $800. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Well, can you buy X amount of books, right? So this is a plus sign when you have a book. Can you buy X amount of books and give this to your attendees, right? So I'm going to take the $800 plus maybe $200 worth of books. I order the books and I deliver it to them when I go to the engagement, right? Or maybe they don't even have the $1,500 budget, but they're able to order X amount of books, $500 worth of books. That way every attendee has it. So the benefit of that is I'm going to speak, I'm going to have 100 people hear me speak for the first time. I'm going to connect with a handful of those people, hopefully 10% of those people. But every person, 100% of those people have something to take away from them. So they get the message, they get the book. And with that book in hand, hopefully they jump online. They go to my website. They follow me on Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn, something. Okay? So once again, set those benchmarks, set those boundaries when it comes to charging. You just can't charge, right? Oh, it's $500. Oh, it's $1,000. Yay or nay, right? And eventually it may be. It may be. Someone reached out to me recently for a free event. I probably would have done it for free or will do it for free, right? But then I got the details behind it and I'm like, I don't know if this is in my wheelhouse, right? And I'm going to turn it down. I have no problem saying no. It's just, I have those benchmarks and those boundaries in place, okay? So you do 10 events for free. You feeling good? Feeling Gucci? All right, cool. So start charging $500, okay? So you do 5 more events, okay? I'm gonna charge $750, maybe even $1,000, okay? Do 5 more, 1,500, 2,000, etc., etc. You also got to keep in mind, based off of your industry and the demographic that you're reaching out to, what is the norm? So, for example, I hear usually if you're talking to colleges, it's hard for universities to pay more than $5,000 or even up to $5,000 for a speaker, right? But if you're speaking to corporations and associations and keynoting, you're probably going to be able to get that 5,000 plus. All right, so be mindful of the industry and the audience that you're targeting and what their budget may be. Also keep in mind, local versus travel. Maybe you're doing $500 for a local event, but if it's, if there's traveling, planes and all this kind of stuff, maybe you're charging $3,500 or $5,000. And some people, it doesn't even matter if it's local. My fee is my fee, and nothing's wrong with that. But I'm merely talking at a point of you starting from ground zero and building that confidence. Okay. Number 4, develop your skills. Develop your skills. So this is so important. Okay. Speaking is not just about waking up, rolling out of bed, and going to present for 45 minutes, and you're done, and you jump back in the car, and you're going out about your day. Okay, there's a lot more to that. Like I said, and everyone's different. Okay, you know me. My number one thing is play to your strengths. I still write my presentations by hand. Okay, I read it, I recite it. I practice, I memorize the framework. I literally stand in front of my sofa. I recite my presentations over and over again. I use a timer on my computer. I time it, whatever. Got the timer on my TV. Um, I hate this. Sometimes I video myself and I look at the video. Okay. There's so many things, and this is the stuff that you're developing for free. Okay. Also, when it comes to developing your skills, I look at other speakers, their websites. How do they have their website laid out? How do they have their talks laid out? What are the categories? You know, it does it say hire me to speak, hire me speaking, keynote speaker? What are the different things that other speakers have on their website that I need to mold? So when you do that, think about maybe three to five speakers within your industry, right? That you can refer back to time and time again. All right. Don't get me wrong. I love E.T. the hip hop preacher, Les Brown, Tony Robbins. I love them. They're great, right? But you're not there yet. And they might be in a different industry than you. The way that a motivational speaker has his website laid out may be different than a diversity and inclusion speaker that falls under HR. So find three to five speakers within your industry, local, regional, national, and study their stuff. Study them. Go to their YouTube. Go to their Instagram. What do they do to keep the momentum going? All right. Also, develop your skills. It goes back to what I said earlier. Jonathan Springle's presentation power. Go to those events. Follow those speakers that train speakers on presentation. Those speakers that train speakers on the business of speaking. That way you can tighten up your processes. You can tighten up your presentation. Because I want you to be great. I want you to be great. I believe in you. I want you to be great. But you cannot be great if you're sitting on the sofa doing nothing. Okay? So the only way you can be great is if you're developing those skills. You're fine-tuning those skills. You know, and there's a lot of things you can do free, and then eventually you have to invest in yourself. You know, I'm very big, very, very, very big advocate when it comes to professional development, investing in yourself. You have to invest in yourself in this business, any business. Okay? So those are the four things that I've learned and that I advise when it comes to getting started on the business of speaking. It doesn't stop. And then going back to developing yourself, invest in a videographer, right? So you're doing these free events. Um, get a videographer to come out, record you. Get someone to hold your phone. I bought a tripod. I put my phone in the tripod. It stays there. Record yourself, all right? And then start creating the social media videos, IG, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. Everyone's doing video now, 60 seconds or less or more, right? So create some videos, eventually get a professional video. You want a speaker reel, do that. I had my speaker reel was done by Twice Media Productions. Tiffany Williams, great friend. She's been on the show before. I want to say 2 to 3 years ago. Someone on LinkedIn yesterday reached out to me. It was like, you have an awesome speaker reel. Don't forget the little people when you blow up or whatever, okay? People are watching. The streets are watching, all right? Make sure your stuff is on point. Your branding is on point. Your marketing is on point. Your messaging is on point. So always, once it's posted, don't sleep on it. You know, go back and fine tune your stuff. What are other people doing? Okay. Now, don't get too carried away. Don't lose yourself following other people. But just make sure you're constantly studying other experts in your industry and making sure you're staying abreast and that you're up to par. If not, exceeding them. Okay. Another thing is stay consistent. Stay consistent. I've been saying this. The cream always rises to the top, and that's where you belong. Okay. The cream rises to the top, and that's where you belong. So what do I mean by that? Look, everyone's talking about what they're gonna do, but as long as you stay consistent, there's people that are struggling to start. Okay. A lot of people are struggling, right? They're not putting the time in. They don't have the money. They don't have the resources to buy the PC, to buy the camera, to do this or do that. But if you're staying consistent with what you got, they're going to fall off. People are falling off, y'all. People are falling off. Now, I'm not saying I'm great. All right. As much as I make efforts to practice it, but I'm consistent. And at this point, I feel like That's the best compliment you can give me. And I've been receiving it a lot. And I'm humbled and I'm grateful. Because when I'm thinking I'm not consistent, people are complimenting me on my consistency. So be consistent. And I know there's a lot of education out there, like, oh, how to get leads on LinkedIn and Instagram. And I can't say all of it's bullshit. I don't know. I don't listen to those webinars, okay? But the way I use my social media is for people to know. They see what I'm doing. They see me speaking. They see me speaking. They see my videos. They see my quotes. The quotes I say, that's from a presentation, okay? And vice versa. They see it. They see it. And I'm able to command X amount of dollars, right? And I'm still working on a lot of stuff, okay? Um, Build that pipeline, manage that cash flow. Speaking, I've been saying this a lot. Speaking is a relationship and momentum business, okay? There were seeds that I have planted 5 to 7 years ago that are just now manifesting, okay? People are watching that I don't even know. I don't even know who's watching. But it's like, hey, XYZ referred me. Or I've been watching your videos and listening to your podcast for the past 2 to 3 years. I'm doing this event. Yes, let's talk. Let's talk. Okay. I mentioned how I was at Texas A&M University a couple of weeks ago, and I mean, that event, that opportunity was literally a dream come true. I came across that event in 2013, right after I quit my job and I was just starting my business. And I remember the first time I came across it, it was like I had like a couple of weeks before the deadline to submit a speaker proposal, and they denied me. They denied me 2 years in a row, and then I forgot. But even with that denial, I kept speaking, right? I was just speaking in other places. And then, of course, late last year, for this year, I applied for the conference. I remembered I applied, and they accepted both of my workshops, right? So what turned out to be a no, or two no's in the past, turned out to be two yeses today. So speaking at Texas A&M, that was a dream come true, and I'm very, very grateful for that opportunity. And I think the icing on the cake was after my first workshop, Connect with Confidence, this young lady, Amy, shout out to Amy, she came up to me from the University of Louisiana, Lafayette. She came up to me and was like, "Oh my God, Michelle, I love your podcast." Da, da, da. And then, she went fangirl on me, quote unquote. And I was like, "What?" I was just so surprised. I was so shocked. But like that moment was everything to me, right? It was confirmation and validation, and it was just a blessing because, like, I see the numbers, but I'm like, I don't know who's listening to this podcast. But that's the power of your voice, right? That's the power of your voice. That's the power of your message. And that's how you resonate with people. And now I'm trying to, get to the school. Like, okay, well, I met so many students from this university at a conference. I'm trying to get to the school so I can do a presentation, right? So there's so many ways that you're able to create and maintain your pipeline. So that's me initiating. I've spoken at events, and then there's been attendees. I didn't even meet the attendee after the event, but later on I got a phone call and was like, "Hey, we're doing an event. I heard you speak. What will it take to get you out here?" So speaking is everything. It's relationships. It's momentum. Okay. It's momentum. Get pictures. Hire a photographer. Hire a videographer. Keep your social media up to date. You are an active speaker. You have a message. You're sharing that message. Formal video, informal video. And then relationships. Who are you connecting with? Especially with me. Like, that's my whole premise. That's my whole thesis is on connection. Okay. So who are you talking to? Talk to those attendees. Talk to the people in the audience. Because you don't know who's in the audience. Oh my God, you do not know who's in the audience. Everything's not about the organizer and the organization, right? That's important, don't get me wrong. But man, people in the audience, they got power, they got pull, they got money, they got resources. Don't underestimate. That's like, I hate when people like go to an office building or a job and like they're disrespectful to the receptionist. Like, you don't know. You don't know. Like, don't be rude to the gatekeeper. You don't know. Don't be rude to the waitress. You don't know. Because they could say one thing and ruin the so-called opportunity for you. Okay? So be grateful. Be grateful and reach out to the audience, reach out to the attendees. Take your time. Like for me, I know how I am. I don't want to say I get nervous, but I don't like feeling rushed. So I'm to the point where I can jump right into a talk and be really good. But I also like to get there early, warm up to the audience, shake hands, kiss babies. And that way when I'm actually doing my presentation, I can call on people by name. I actually plug people like, hey, this is XYZ. They have this kind of business, da 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 da. Or this brother was sharing with me, da 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 da. So I like that. And then of course I stay afterwards to keep that, to continue to build those relationships. Okay. Look, I could talk about this all day, all night, I should say. And I just had to get some stuff off my chest. But at the same time, I still wanted to help y'all when it comes to the speaking thing. Not just speaking, but life, about business. It's really consistency. Consistency is key. Consistency is so important. I cannot emphasize that enough. Like, there's people, oh my God, like, people talk. So many people talk. And it's like, and I understand life happens. Don't get me wrong. I understand life happens. But I'm all about the business of let's make dreams come true. Let's make our dreams come true. So if you tell me your dream, like, I want to contribute to that. I want to contribute to your success, right? And the only way I can do that is if we have a good relationship and I see you're putting in the work and the consistency that follows. Be consistent, y'all. Oh my God. Be consistent. Be consistent. Be consistent. So I know it's hard, but consistency is so important. Sounded like a broken record, but it's so important. It's so important. That consistency is everything. Because when you're consistent, people start to recognize you. People start to recognize your brand. Like, I know people see that MN logo, that green MN circle logo. Thank you, San Juan Studio 1816 Designs. Okay. I know people see that green networking with Michelle and all this kind of stuff. Brand awareness, consistency, brand awareness, brand alignment. So believe in yourself. Believe in yourself. I remember when I got my first corporate client when I got AIG, and this is a little backstory, and then it's a good way to wrap up. Shout out to my friend James Davidson, HBLI classmate. He came up to me one day in class. He was like, hey, I'm with AIG. We're looking for a speaker for our African American employee resource group, and I think you'll be a good fit. Thank you. Went through that process. This is the first corporate gig paid or whatever. Grateful to God. Very, very grateful for that opportunity. And, but I remember, once again, listening to all of these speakers and these negotiation tactics. And I was like, ooh, it worked. It worked. And they gave me my money and all this little stuff. Okay. And, but I remember I was living at home. I was living at home with my mom, and I was so excited and I wanted to share this news with someone. My mom started asking me about my business or something. She was like, Michelle, you need to find a job. And I was like, no, I'm focused on my business. Like, I was like 7 months in my business, 7 or 9 months in my business, but I had already lost my apartment and it wasn't looking good, y'all. I can admit that. But it's like, no, I'm okay. I'm working nights. I'm focusing on my business during the day. And I'm like, I just booked this gig. I'm on my way to the top. And my mom laughed at me about my business. She laughed at me about my business. And I was hurt. And I didn't even tell her about AIG. I didn't even tell her that I got this first paid gig. I just went in my room and I recorded a video. And I'm sure it's still on Facebook and YouTube. I didn't delete it. There's no reason to. And at the end of that video, I said, I believe in you. And my thought process behind that is because this entrepreneurship, I don't care if you're doing speaking, t-shirts, coffee mugs, pillowcases, this entrepreneurship, this shit is hard. And I know if I was living at home and going through this emotional struggle with my mom, there is someone else out there that is struggling with their boyfriend, their girlfriend, their spouse, maybe even a business partner, or a parent, especially if you're in college and you want to do your own thing. And that person does not believe, they don't believe in you, they don't believe in the outcome, they don't believe like you believe. And from that moment, I started saying, I believe in you. I believe in you. And people need to hear it. People need to hear it. Not everyone gets to hear the I believe in yous, the I love yous, or not everyone gets a hug every day. And it's so needed. And I said, if I can at least be that voice to say, I believe in you, maybe, just maybe, someone will keep pushing a little bit more, a little bit, start moving a little bit further along in their journey. Because there's so much doubt. There is so much doubt. And you have to believe in yourself if you want to keep going. Because this journey is tough. There's people not in your business, not in your industry, and they'll give you advice. And you have to consider what you're going to do with that advice. There's people in your business that think you're a competitor. They're going to give you the wrong advice. Whether it's good or bad, at the end of the day, you have to keep believing in yourself. Because that's all you got. That's all you got. So much. But as always, I believe in you. And personal connection leads to an influential network. Thanks for networking with Michelle.